So back in Winnipeg, and I was at first EduCon in Philadelphia, FETC in Orlando, Florida, and then Claire 2013 in northwestern New Brunswick. And the highlight of each of those was a little bit different. In Philly and EduCon, one of the highlights was getting together with Alvin Trusty and Steve Ransom and John Schenker, and we had a mead tasting. We went out for dinner with Joyce Valencia, and at EduCon, Alvin, at my instigation from before EduCon, he did a session on how to use maps and fusion tables in Google Docs, which is turning into what might be a map MOOC, how to use maps in education in all sorts of different ways, which I think will be really interesting. And Alvin's leading that charge. And then back down in Florida at FETC, my first time at the conference, but I was anxious because I had to do the keynote at Claire. And so I'm in my room one night and Dean comes over, and I also had to do this big session on assessment, which I did this morning back here in Winnipeg. And Dean did me two kindnesses. One, he talked to me at length about assessment, and we had a really kind of little heavy, but it kind of helped form my ideas about what I ended up presenting this morning. And then he kind of got me out of the house. So we caught up with Lee Colbert and some of her friends, some of her colleagues, and that was really great. And then by the time I got to Claire was a wonderful experience. I got to meet all the different people in the Francophone community that I've kind of been following online. And one of the highlights there, and there's too many to name, but one was at lunch on the last day of Claire. I sat down with a few people, and Remy was beside me, and he's teaching me how to speak French in these different dialects. And there's a podcast, I'll drop a link to it. And the bottom line of all of this was, all of these things end up bringing people close together. It's really more about relationships. The way you connect with people leads to learning all sorts of really interesting things. Like finally at Claire, I learned all sorts of wonderful things about the history of the area and how to speak different French dialects, Bréant and Chiac. And now I'm back in Winnipeg, and Olé fa Fred! You have to listen to the podcast to get that one.